Each morning as the sun rises and the world stirs from its slumber, you are given a gift, anew. Not just another day, but another chance to realize that you are not bound by the past, nor shackled by expectations. You are a river, ever flowing, never the same as you were the day before. Yet so many of us wake up with the weight of yesterday pressing upon us, forgetting that life is not a sequence of problems to be solved, but an experience to be embraced. And so, as you rise, you must remind yourself, gently but with conviction, of the truths that free you from illusion and return you to the effortless dance of existence. These are not just words. They are keys to unlock the door of your mind, to help you step into the morning with clarity, lightness, and the understanding that you are already enough. So, as you wake, before the world imposes its noise upon you, tell yourself these 12 things. Each morning as the sun stretches its golden fingers across the horizon, a quiet invitation arises with it. You are not merely waking up, you are awakening to a day that has never been lived before, to a moment that has never existed until now. And yet, how often do we open our eyes and immediately fall back into the patterns of yesterday? The mind, like an old record, starts playing the same tune. Regrets of the past, worries of the future, the endless pursuit of something just beyond reach. But what if, before the world presses its expectations upon you, you could whisper something different to yourself? What if you could shape the day not by force but by intention? You are not a prisoner of the past. This is the first truth you must embrace each morning. The past is like a river that has already flowed downstream. You can gaze at it, learn from it, but you cannot swim in the same water twice. Yet so many of us carry yesterday like a heavy sack, filled with old mistakes, missed opportunities, and unspoken words. But life does not demand that you drag this burden forward. It invites you to step into the fresh stream of now, unchained and weightless. Each morning you have a choice, to define yourself by where you've been or to shape yourself by where you are. You are already enough. There is nothing you must prove, nothing you must chase to be worthy of this day. The trees do not strive to be more tree-like. The ocean does not question if it is vast enough. And yet humans wake up each day believing they must do something to earn their place in the world. This illusion keeps us running, keeps us restless, always searching for that one achievement, that one validation that will finally make us feel whole. But the truth is, you were whole before you even began searching. You are not a project to be completed. You are already the masterpiece, unfolding moment by moment. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. How many mornings have been spent bracing for the day as if life was some great battle to endure? We carry our to-do lists like shields, convinced that if we just get everything right, if we just solve every challenge, we will finally reach a place of peace. But life is not a puzzle that needs to be figured out. It is a melody that is meant to be danced to. The trees do not resist the wind, they sway with it. The river does not complain about the rocks in its path, it flows around them. And you too are not here to fight against life, but to move with it, to embrace it fully, even in its uncertainty. Suffering is optional, perspective is everything. What you tell yourself in the morning shapes the entire day ahead. If you wake up believing that the world is against you, that life is a struggle, then that is exactly what you will experience. But if you wake up and remind yourself that every challenge is an invitation to grow, that every moment holds the possibility of joy, then suffering begins to loosen its grip. The mind is like a lens. What you focus on expands. Change your perception and you change your world. You are a wave in the ocean of existence. You are not separate from life, but one with it. Just as the wave is not apart from the ocean, you are not apart from the universe. You are an expression of it. And just as the wave rises and falls, so too will your experiences, your emotions, your seasons of life. But through it all you remain what you have always been, part of something vast, something infinite, something that needs no validation, no striving, no resistance. So, as you wake each morning, before the mind pulls you back into its familiar narratives, take a breath, let go of yesterday, step into today with the understanding that you are free, that you are enough, that life is not something to be conquered but something to be cherished. Whisper these truths to yourself, not as mere words, but as reminders of the effortless beauty of simply being. And then, with a heart unburdened and a spirit unshackled, step forward into the day, not with hesitation, but with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you belong to this moment, exactly as you are. You are already enough. From the moment you wake up, before you check your phone, before you list all the things you need to do, before the world tells you who you should be, there is a simple but profound truth. Nothing is missing from you. You are not incomplete. You are not a puzzle waiting to be solved or a project that needs fixing. Yet so many of us wake up feeling as if we must earn our worth, as if we must achieve something today to justify our existence. But this is an illusion, a trick of the mind that keeps us running in circles, always chasing, never arriving. Look at nature. The sun does not rise thinking it must shine brighter than yesterday. The river does not rush forward believing it must reach a destination to be worthy of its flow. The birds do not question whether their song is good enough to be heard. Everything in existence simply is. And yet we as humans have convinced ourselves that we must do something more to deserve happiness, peace, love. But what if the very act of being alive was already enough? What if right now, before you accomplish a single thing today, you are already whole? The struggle comes from comparison. The moment you measure yourself against someone else, against their life, their success, their journey, you create an unnecessary suffering. But comparison is a trick because no two lives are the same, just as no two trees grow in exactly the same way. One might stand tall, reaching toward the sky, while another bends gracefully toward the earth. Both are perfect in their own way. In the same way, your path is uniquely yours. There is no right way to live, no single definition of success, no universal standard of what makes a life valuable. You are not here to be like anyone else. You are here to be yourself, and that alone is enough. The mind will tell you otherwise. It will whisper stories of what you lack, what you should have done, what you must do to be more. But the mind is like a restless ocean, always moving, always changing, always looking for something to grasp onto. If you listen to it without awareness, you will spend your entire life chasing the horizon, believing that just beyond it lies the thing that will finally make you complete. But have you noticed? Every time you reach one goal, another appears. Every time you gain one thing, there is something else you think you need. The chase never ends, because the illusion of not enough is built into the game. But you can step out of the game. You can wake up each morning and decide before you even lift your head from the pillow that you are enough. You can choose to see yourself not as a work in progress, but as a living, breathing miracle, because that is what you are. Out of billions of possibilities you exist. Out of infinite randomness you are here, in this moment, with this breath, with this experience. What more proof do you need that you belong? When you start the day from this place of announcence, everything changes. Your actions no longer come from a place of lack, but from a place of joy. You do not seek love because you feel unworthy without it. You give love because it naturally flows from you. You do not chase success to prove something. You move toward what excites you simply because it feels right. Life stops being a struggle to attain and instead becomes an expression of what is already whole. So as you wake, remind yourself, you do not need to achieve anything today to be worthy. You do not need to impress anyone to be valuable. You do not need to fix yourself because you were never broken. You are enough exactly as you are, and when you move through the world with this truth in your heart, you stop grasping, you stop struggling, and instead you start living. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. Yet from the moment we wake up, we are conditioned to believe otherwise. The mind immediately starts organizing the day into tasks, obstacles, and challenges. It tells us that life is something to figure out, something to control, something that must go according to plan. But life does not work like that. It moves in unpredictable rhythms, in waves that rise and fall, in seasons that change whether we are ready or not. The more we try to solve life, the more we struggle against its natural flow. Imagine standing in a river trying to hold the water still. The more you grasp at it, the more it slips through your fingers. But if you simply allow your hands to rest in the current, the water moves effortlessly around them. This is the difference between resisting life and experiencing it. When we try to control every detail, we create frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. But when we let go and meet life as it is, we find a deep sense of ease. The river does not need to be controlled. It only needs to be flowed with. So many of us wake up each day with the unconscious belief that we must solve our way to happiness. We think, if I can just fix this one thing, then I will be at peace. If I can just reach this goal, then I will finally feel fulfilled. But the illusion is that there will always be another problem to solve, another thing to fix, another goal to reach. And if peace is always waiting at the next destination, then we will spend our entire lives chasing something that never arrives. For what if the purpose of life was not to reach some final answer, but to experience the unfolding of it all? What if every moment, even the uncertain ones, were not obstacles but invitations? An invitation to see, to feel, to be fully present. A flower does not bloom because it has figured out how to be a flower. It blooms because it simply allows itself to grow. Life is doing the same through you. Every experience, every emotion, every unexpected change is not a test to pass, but a part of the great unfolding. The struggle arises when we expect life to be something other than what it is. We wake up wanting things to go exactly as planned, and when they don't, we resist. But resistance is what creates suffering. The more we demand that life be different, the more we fight against reality, and the more we suffer. The truth is, life is neither good nor bad. It simply is. And when we stop labeling everything as a problem, we begin to see the beauty in what is. Even pain, even uncertainty, even failure. These are not problems, but experiences. They are the notes in the symphony of existence, each one necessary to complete the music. When we embrace this, we stop asking, how do I make life easier, and instead ask, how can I be more present to it? Because in the end, the secret is not in solving life, but in living it fully. So as you wake each morning, let go of the idea that you must figure everything out. Step into the day not as a problem solver, but as an experiencer of reality. Feel the air against your skin. Notice the light as it shifts through the sky. Hear the sound of the world waking up around you. Life is not waiting for you to fix it. It is inviting you to live it. And when you finally accept that, you will realize that peace was never something you had to earn. It was something that was always here, waiting for you to notice. Suffering is optional. Perspective is everything. The moment you open your eyes each morning, the world has not yet told you what kind of day it will be. It is simply a blank canvas, waiting for you to paint it with your perspective. But most of us do not realize we hold the brush. Instead, we let the unconscious patterns of our mind determine the colors. Worry, regret, frustration, expectation. We assume that how we feel is dictated by external circumstances, by what happens to us. But the truth is, it is not the event itself that creates suffering, it is the meaning we assign to it. Two people can experience the exact same moment, yet one suffers while the other feels peace. The difference is not in what happened, but in how it was perceived. If it rains on the day of a long-planned trip, One person might see it as a ruined experience, while another might see it as an opportunity to slow down, to embrace the sound of raindrops, to enjoy the unexpected. The rain is but the experience of it is different. This is the power of perspective. So much of our suffering is created in the mind before it even meets reality. We wake up thinking about all the things that could go wrong, all the challenges ahead, all the reasons today might be difficult. But if you look closely, you will see that most of your worries are not real. They are just thoughts, fleeting, temporary, passing through like clouds. Yet we believe them as if they are absolute truth. We let them shape our emotions, our actions, our experience of the world. But what if we stop taking every thought so seriously? What if, instead of believing in every worry that appears, we simply noticed it, acknowledged it, and let it pass? Life is neither against you nor in your way. It simply responds to the energy you bring to it. If you wake up expecting struggle, you will find it. If you wake up expecting opportunity, you will see it. This is not because the world changes, but because your awareness does. When you shift your focus, your entire experience shifts with it. If you look for reasons to be frustrated, they will appear. If you look for reasons to be grateful, they will appear just as easily. The question is not whether life is good or bad, but what lens you choose to see it through. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Pain is a natural part of existence. Loss, disappointment, change, uncertainty. These things will come no matter how much you resist them. But suffering is what happens when you hold on to pain, when you replay it in your mind, when you resist what is. The moment you stop fighting against reality, suffering begins to dissolve. This does not mean ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It means seeing things clearly, accepting them as they are, and choosing to move forward with an open heart. Each morning you have a choice. You can let your mind dictate how the day will go, or you can take control of your perspective. You can decide before anything happens that today will be a day of peace, of curiosity, of presence. This does not mean that everything will go as planned or that there will be no challenges. It simply means that no matter what comes, you will meet it with awareness rather than resistance. You will remind yourself that suffering is not in the event, but in the way you choose to see it. So as you rise, before the thoughts of yesterday take hold, take a breath, set an intention, decide that today, no matter what unfolds, you will not let your mind turn it into suffering. You will embrace each moment as it is, without judgment, without resistance. And in doing so, you will discover something powerful, that peace was never something you had to chase, it was something you could choose all along. You are a wave in the ocean of existence. You are not separate from life. You are life itself, moving, flowing, becoming. Yet from the moment we wake up, we feel isolated, as though we are individuals struggling against the world, as though we must carve out a space for ourselves in an indifferent universe. But this is an illusion. You were never separate. You were never alone. You are not a drop of water fighting against the tide. You are the tide itself. The same energy that moves the stars, that turns the seasons, that causes rivers to carve through mountains, that same force moves within you. We spend so much of our lives believing that we are something apart, something fragile that must defend itself, that must struggle to survive. But what if the very idea of separation was the cause of suffering? Look at nature. Does the tree worry about whether it belongs in the forest? Does the bird question whether it is part of the sky? No, because they do not see themselves as separate from what is around them. They simply exist, fully and completely, without resistance. And yet we as humans create this artificial division, believing that we must find a way to belong, forgetting that we already do. The ocean does not resist the coming and going of its waves. It does not try to hold on to the crest of a wave, nor does it fear the crash of it. It understands that both are part of its nature, and so too must we learn to accept the natural ebb and flow of life. There will be moments when you rise high, full of energy, full of light, and there will be moments when you crash, when everything seems uncertain, when the path ahead is unclear, but both are necessary. Without the rise, there is no fall. Without the fall, there is no movement at all. To be alive is to move through these cycles, to embrace each one without fear. Yet we resist. We cling to the good times, desperate to make them last forever, and we fight against the difficult moments, believing they should not exist. But resistance only creates suffering. Imagine a wave trying to refuse its fall. What would happen? It would create chaos, turmoil, unnecessary struggle. But the wave does not fight against its own nature. It surrenders to the movement, knowing that no part of the ocean is ever truly lost. And so it is with you. No experience, no hardship, no failure can ever separate you from the whole of existence. You remain part of the vastness always, whether you are rising or falling. This is why fear is an illusion. We spend so much time fearing change, fearing loss, fearing what might happen next. But what if there is nothing to fear? What if life was not happening to you, but through you? Just as the ocean does not fear its own waves, you do not need to fear the movement of life. You will never be lost, never be disconnected, never be anything other than exactly what you're meant to be. Even in the moments of uncertainty, even in the times when you feel like everything is falling apart, you are still part of the whole. You are still the wave, still the ocean, still moving, still becoming. So as you wake each morning, remind yourself, you do not need to force anything. You do not need to resist. You do not need to control life. You only need to flow with it. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be. Trust that you are connected to everything around you, that you are not separate, not alone, not adrift. You are the wave, and the wave always belongs to the ocean. There is no destination, no endpoint, no perfect moment waiting ahead. There is only now, only this breath, only this experience. And when you embrace that fully, when you stop trying to hold on and simply let yourself be carried, you will finally understand you were never lost. You were home all along. To live a truly happy life, begin by recognizing the beauty of impermanence. Life flows, shifts, and reshapes itself in ways we cannot fully control. And therein lies its wonder. Happiness grows not from clinging to things, but from letting life move through us freely. Life, in all its beauty, is defined by its fleeting nature. When we grasp this, we can begin to see impermanence not as something to resist, but as a natural rhythm, much like the ebb and flow of the ocean. Seasons change, leaves fall, and waves return to the shore. Life is meant to be in motion, continuously evolving. Yet we often find ourselves clinging tightly to people, possessions, and identities, fearing the change that might take them away. This clinging creates suffering, for nothing remains as it was. Moments of joy, like moments of sorrow, pass. Our struggle arises from our attempts to hold on to the joyful moments while pushing away the difficult ones, creating an inner conflict against life's flow. When we let go of these attachments, we allow life to unfold as it is, and we open ourselves to its fullness. Embracing impermanence brings a profound sense of freedom. It teaches us to appreciate experiences as they come, knowing they are not ours to keep but ours to cherish. It allows us to greet each person, each place, each day with renewed curiosity and respect, understanding that every encounter is unique and will never be repeated in quite the same way. The fear of loss fades when we embrace life's transient nature, for we are no longer trying to trap it. Instead, we experience each moment fully, accepting its place in the flow of life, and in doing so we find peace. In our desire to create security, we often try to control the world around us, striving to steer outcomes, shape people's behaviors, and dictate the course of events. This need for control, however, tends to create more stress than peace. Life's unpredictability doesn't bend to our will, and as we attempt to mold it into our ideal, we find ourselves in constant tension, fighting against a force that cannot be tamed. This struggle drains us, leaving us exhausted and feeling trapped by the very expectations we have set. Letting go of control does not mean passivity or giving up, rather. It's a shift toward acceptance, a recognition that there are elements beyond our grasp. We can plant seeds and make choices, but we must also release our attachment to specific results. This detachment from outcome creates space for something unexpected, and often more fulfilling to emerge, freeing us from the burden of needing everything to unfold exactly as planned. When we loosen our grip, we discover that life has its own wisdom, carrying us in directions we might not have anticipated, yet are exactly what we need. We begin to see life as a dance, where we move in harmony with its rhythms, rather than trying to impose our own. In surrendering our need to control, we open ourselves to the richness of experience, appreciating the journey as it is and trusting that each moment, even those we did not plan, holds something valuable for us. In a world filled with endless choices, demands, and distractions, simplicity offers a quiet sanctuary. It invites us to strip away the unnecessary, to let go of the endless pursuits that fill our days yet leave us feeling unsatisfied. When we value simplicity, we turn our focus from accumulation to appreciation, learning to find joy in the understated beauty of life, a warm cup of tea, a walk under the trees, or a meaningful conversation. These small moments, often overlooked, become sources of genuine happiness. Simplicity is not about depriving ourselves, but about clearing space for what truly matters. When we reduce our attachment to excess, whether possessions, ambitions, or distractions, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of fulfillment. Our lives feel lighter, not weighed down by the endless clutter of more. With simplicity, our actions become more intentional, and we feel more in tune with ourselves and our surroundings. This mindset encourages us to focus on quality over quantity, choosing experiences and relationships that nourish us rather than dilute our energy. By simplifying, we are better able to connect with the present moment, unhindered by the noise of unnecessary desires and anxieties. In valuing simplicity, we foster a profound inner clarity, a sense of peace that arises when we are no longer driven by the need to chase after what we don't need. Instead, we find contentment in the essential, allowing life to unfold in its most honest, unembellished form. Living in the present invites us to embrace the only moment we truly have, this one. Yet so often, our minds wander to regrets of the past or anxieties about the future, creating a disconnect from the here and now. We dwell on what could have been, or anticipate what might be, letting the current moment slip away unnoticed. This endless pull between past and future creates a sense of emptiness, as if life is something always just beyond our reach. When we center ourselves in the present, however, we open to the richness of each experience, no matter how small. The act of simply being here, observing our surroundings, feeling our breath, or listening fully to another person, brings a profound sense of connection. Time slows, worries fade, and we become aware of the beauty in the most ordinary details: the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, the texture of a familiar place. Living in the present does not mean we ignore the future or forget the past, but rather that we choose not to be bound by them. We learn to observe our thoughts about yesterday or tomorrow without letting them steal our focus from today. By rooting ourselves in the now, we find a peaceful clarity, an acceptance that life unfolds moment by moment. In this state, we experience life more deeply, discovering that true contentment is not in what was or what will be, but in what is unfolding right here, right now. Accepting yourself means embracing who you are in your entirety, without judgment or the need for constant improvement. Often we fall into the habit of criticizing ourselves, focusing on perceived flaws or shortcomings, thinking that self-acceptance is only possible once we reach some ideal version of ourselves. Yet this endless striving for perfection creates a persistent sense of inadequacy, a belief that we are somehow incomplete or unworthy until we achieve something better. This mindset keeps happiness at arm's length, forever postponed to some future version of ourselves. True acceptance, however, lies in recognizing that we are already enough, right now. It involves looking at ourselves honestly, our strengths and vulnerabilities, our joys and fears, and acknowledging them without shame. It is a gentle practice of letting go of the critical voice that tells us we must be different to be valuable. Self-acceptance is not complacency or giving up on growth. Rather, it's an acknowledgement that growth comes from a place of love, not self-rejection. When we accept ourselves, we create a foundation of inner peace. We begin to see our worth as inherent, not something to be earned or proven. This allows us to engage with life more fully and openly, free from the constant need for validation. In accepting ourselves, we cultivate compassion, treating ourselves as we would a dear friend. With this kindness, we become more resilient, better equipped to face life's challenges, and more at ease in our own skin. This acceptance liberates us, allowing us to live authentically and fully. Cultivating inner peace is about creating a sanctuary within, a calm center that remains steady amid life's inevitable turbulence. In a world of constant change, challenges, and demands, finding peace within ourselves is not only a refuge, but a source of strength. Often we look for peace in external achievements, in having control or in arranging our circumstances just so, hoping that if everything outside aligns perfectly, we'll finally feel calm. Yet, as long as our peace depends on what's outside of us, it remains fragile and easily disrupted. True inner peace arises from within, independent of circumstances. It involves cultivating acceptance, letting go of the need to control every outcome, and learning to observe life without becoming entangled in its ups and downs. Inner peace grows as we learn to sit with our thoughts and emotions, neither resisting nor clinging to them, but simply allowing them to flow through. By doing this, we build resilience and learn to respond rather than react. Meditation, reflection, and mindfulness are powerful practices that help us develop this inner tranquility. These moments of stillness enable us to tune into our deeper selves, shedding layers of stress and distraction. Over time, we become less affected by the noise and chaos around us, and more grounded in our own sense of calm. With inner peace, we navigate life's challenges with greater clarity and compassion. We stop seeking escape, finding instead a quiet strength that carries us through, reminding us that true peace comes from embracing, rather than resisting, the journey of life. Practicing kindness means choosing compassion over judgment, empathy over indifference. It's a simple act, yet its effects ripple outward, touching lives in ways we may never fully see or understand. Kindness begins with the small gestures, a smile, a listening ear, an encouraging word. These small acts can have a profound impact, lifting the spirit of another person, often when they need it most. Kindness connects us, dissolving barriers and bridging the spaces between us. When we practice kindness, we create an atmosphere of warmth and openness, both for ourselves and those around us. Instead of approaching others with expectations or judgments, kindness allows us to meet them with acceptance, recognizing our shared humanity. It requires us to be present, to listen deeply, and to act from a place of genuine care. In doing so, we nurture our own hearts as well, as kindness cultivates inner peace and satisfaction. And kindness, too, is a form of strength. It challenges us to step beyond our own comfort, to extend ourselves even when it might feel easier to look away or withdraw. Being kind does not mean neglecting ourselves, but rather finding a balance between giving to others and honoring our own needs. In offering kindness to others, we enrich our own lives with a sense of purpose and connection, knowing that we have contributed in some way to the well-being of another. In the end, kindness nurtures both the giver and the receiver, creating a cycle of compassion that enriches everyone it touches. Following your passion means allowing yourself to be drawn toward what makes you feel most alive, what excites and energizes you at your core. Passion is often quiet at first, a small, persistent call that resonates from within, hinting at a path uniquely suited to you. Too often we suppress these inner nudges in favor of practicality or external expectations, convincing ourselves that passion is a luxury. Yet when we ignore our passions, we sacrifice a vital part of ourselves, losing touch with what brings us joy and fulfillment. Pursuing what you love does not mean life will be without challenges. In fact, the journey may demand even greater perseverance and resilience. Yet when fueled by passion, these challenges become part of the growth process, each obstacle an opportunity to strengthen your commitment to what truly matters to you. Passion provides purpose, turning effort into something meaningful and transforming setbacks into steps toward a fulfilling goal. Following your passion encourages authenticity, as it allows you to be true to who you are rather than conforming to a path laid out by others. It fosters a deep sense of satisfaction, a fulfillment that arises not from external success, but from aligning your actions with your inner desires. As you pursue what resonates with your soul, you become an inspiration to others, showing that happiness and success are not just about achievements, but about living in harmony with your deepest callings. Passion, when pursued, breathes life into every moment, making each day richer and more meaningful. Detaching from outcomes means releasing our fixation on specific results and instead focusing on the present process. Often we become so attached to how we want things to unfold that we lose sight of the journey itself, equating our worth or happiness with a particular outcome. This attachment creates stress and anxiety as we place our peace of mind on events beyond our control. When we hinge our happiness on specific results, we become vulnerable to disappointment, always at the mercy of what might or might not happen. Letting go of outcomes doesn't mean we abandon our goals or desires. Rather, it means we approach them with openness, allowing for the possibility that things may unfold in ways we didn't anticipate. It is an act of trust, a willingness to believe that even if things don't go as planned, there is still value in the experience. This detachment frees us from the weight of constant worry and from the trap of all or nothing thinking. We find ourselves able to embrace each moment, appreciating the journey regardless of where it leads. Detachment invites a deeper sense of peace and resilience. By focusing on the process, on what we can control and enjoy now, we shift our energy from fear of failure to a place of curiosity and growth. We become more adaptable, better able to see and seize opportunities, and less hindered by fear. In letting go, we create space for unexpected joys and outcomes, allowing life to unfold with its own wisdom. Learning to forgive is not about excusing harm or forgetting the past. It's about freeing ourselves from the weight of resentment and anger. Holding on to grudges is like carrying a heavy burden that weighs on our spirit. It consumes our energy, distorts our perception, and prevents us from moving forward. The act of forgiveness is not for the person who wronged us, it is for our own peace, allowing us to release the emotional ties that bind us to pain and hurt. Forgiveness begins with acknowledging the pain, the hurt that was caused, and allowing ourselves to feel those emotions fully. Only by recognizing the depth of the wound can we begin to heal. It doesn't mean that what happened was right or justified, but it means that we choose to no longer let that experience define us. We reclaim our power by deciding not to let anger and bitterness dictate our emotional landscape. In forgiving, we let go of the illusion that we can control another person's actions or outcomes. We free ourselves from the need for justice or retribution, embracing the fact that some things are beyond our control. Forgiveness does not always happen overnight. It is a gradual process of letting go, of choosing peace over pain. As we practice it, we discover a deep sense of liberation, allowing us to heal and to move forward with a lighter heart. By learning to forgive, we create space for love, growth, and new possibilities to enter our lives. Listening more and speaking less invites us to step away from the constant need to be heard, allowing us to fully engage with others in a deeper and more meaningful way. Often, in conversations, our minds race ahead, preparing our next response while the other person is still speaking. This habit keeps us disconnected, more focused on what we want to say than on what is actually being shared. When we shift from reacting to listening, we open ourselves to truly understanding the person in front of us, not just their words, but the feelings and thoughts behind them. Listening is an act of presence. It requires us to quiet our inner dialogue and simply absorb what is being communicated. It fosters empathy as we allow the other person to express themselves fully, without interruption or judgment. By listening deeply, we create space for the speaker to feel seen and valued, which strengthens the connection between us. In choosing to speak less, we also give ourselves the opportunity to reflect more. We don't rush to fill the silence with our own thoughts or opinions, but instead we observe, absorb, and respond thoughtfully. Speaking less doesn't mean remaining silent in every situation, but it means becoming more intentional with our words, choosing them carefully and speaking when we truly have something valuable to contribute. By listening more and speaking less, we become more present, more compassionate, and more aware of the world around us, allowing us to form richer, more authentic relationships. Finding gratitude in each day means shifting our focus from what is lacking to what is already present. It is easy to get caught up in what we don't have, what's missing or what went wrong, and yet this mindset creates a sense of scarcity and dissatisfaction. When we intentionally seek out the small blessings in our lives, however, we begin to see that there is much more to appreciate than we might have initially realized. Gratitude can be found in the simple moments, the warmth of the sun on our face, a smile from a stranger, the comfort of a familiar place, or the support of loved ones. It's in the moments of stillness and the small victories, like waking up healthy or enjoying a peaceful moment. These simple things often go unnoticed in the rush of daily life, but when we make space for them, we cultivate a deeper sense of fulfillment. Gratitude shifts our perspective from what's wrong to what's right. It trains our minds to look for goodness, even in difficult situations. It does not mean ignoring challenges or pretending that life is always easy, but rather recognizing that even within struggles, there is something to be grateful for, a lesson learned, strength gained, or resilience built. By practicing gratitude each day, we rewire our minds to focus on abundance rather than lack, bringing more peace and contentment into our lives. This simple practice deepens our connection to the present moment and nurtures a sense of joy and fulfillment in our everyday experiences. Remembering that you're enough means understanding that you do not need to be anything more than who you already are. In a world that often tells us to strive, improve, and become something else, it's easy to feel inadequate or that we are falling short. We compare ourselves to others, to expectations, or to ideals, believing that we must constantly be better in order to be worthy of love, respect, or success. Yet this constant striving often leaves us feeling empty, disconnected, and unsatisfied. The truth is, you are enough just as you are. You are not defined by what you do or by what you've achieved, but by the essence of who you are, your thoughts, your feelings, your presence. Your worth is inherent, not something to be earned or measured by external standards. When you remember this, you free yourself from the pressure to prove yourself and allow yourself the grace to simply be. This recognition doesn't mean giving up on growth or self-improvement, but rather embracing the idea that you are worthy of love, respect, and success regardless of where you stand. You are enough in your imperfections, your struggles, and your successes. This mindset fosters self-compassion and allows you to release the fear of not being enough. It encourages you to stand confidently in your own skin, knowing that you bring value to the world simply by being yourself, without needing to conform to anyone else's expectations or definitions of success. In the end, living a truly happy life comes down to the simple yet profound truths we embrace about ourselves and the world around us. It's about accepting impermanence and learning to let go, understanding that happiness doesn't come from controlling everything, but from flowing with life as it is. It's about cultivating inner peace and recognizing that simplicity holds the key to deeper satisfaction. When we practice kindness, listen more than we speak, and forgive ourselves and others, we create space for love, growth, and authentic connection. Following our passion and detaching from outcomes allows us to live fully, embracing each moment with gratitude and a sense of purpose. And perhaps most importantly, we must remember that we are enough just as we are, without the need to prove or improve ourselves to be worthy. When we remember these truths, happiness is not something we chase, but something we cultivate within ourselves every day, in every moment.